Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. After the largest prisoner swap of the war, hopes for peace were quickly shattered as Russia launched a massive aerial assault on Ukraine, deploying over 600 drones and dozens of missiles. U.S. President Donald Trump responded, calling Vladimir Putin crazy in a social media post, while urging Zelensky not to adopt inflammatory language. Joining us today on TVP World to unpack the latest developments and the prospect for diplomacy is Elena Davlikanova, Democracy Fellow from Center for European Policy Analysis. And with a focus on post-Soviet conflicts and international negotiation processes, she provides us critical insight into the political theater of this war. Hello, ma'am, and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, thank you for the invitation.
So I would like to start with the most recent development, Trump's statement while calling Putin crazy. And we've seen also a few days ago that Trump finally admitted that Putin does not want peace. Do you think that this is a signal that the U.S. administration, at least Donald Trump, is finally realizing that perhaps his take on Putin wanting peace in the beginning of this negotiation is a little bit too naive? And can we possibly see Washington change their direction on how they try to deal with Vladimir Putin?
Of course, we're very hopeful that finally Washington would support Ukraine more, or at least wouldn't create more favorable environment for Russia. However, I'm not sure that President Trump ever had any illusions. Maybe he had hoped that he would offer President Putin some sort of a deal that would suit both the United States and Russia. However, this deal was never very favorable for Ukraine. It is very fortunate that President Putin believes too much in the capacity of his armed forces and ability to subjugate Ukraine at the end. In my opinion, this is absolutely irrelevant to the reality, and Vladimir Putin has already made enough wrong assumptions, especially back in 2022. So let's hope that at some point President Putin would piss off President Trump so much that Ukraine will regain as much support as it used to enjoy back in 2023.
Right. Now, trying to just dissect Trump's most recent post, he's using quite inflammatory language himself, calling Putin crazy for killing all these people, which I think it's a pretty fair assessment. But at the same time, he's also urging President Zelensky to not take the same approach of these inflammatory language. What is he trying to play here? Do you think that he still believes there's some form of diplomacy that could be achieved by perhaps having Zelensky tone down his rhetoric?
I am not sure what kind of rhetoric is expected from the president of a country which is being shelled every night almost. I am located in Kyiv, and we enjoy the shelling, almost every night. In my opinion, this is not the official rhetoric that stands on the way of the peace deal or negotiations as such. This is the stance of the Russian Federation. Kremlin does not want to achieve any workable solutions to end this conflict. In my understanding, in Washington and in European capitals, finally this realization has come because Ukrainians understood this for a long time. They were trying to convey this message to our allies. However, I do understand that all diplomatic means had to be tried in order to be sure that we need to press Russia, put more pressure on Russia, continue with implementing sanctions, imposing new sanctions, and at some point we might be able to deter it.
Right, I just mentioned being in Kyiv and having to experience these horrific shellings. Can you give us your first-hand account of what's the situation like over there in Ukraine today after those weekend massive attacks?
More than a dozen people were killed as a result of the mass combined attack. There have been very many residential buildings destroyed. Several dozen of people were injured. And for Ukraine, it's another Monday, I would say, another tragical day when people wake up in the morning, they go to work. Our services and also volunteers work on the places of assault rebuild. They try to help those people who remain under the rubble, and we will proceed with then reconstructing these facilities, especially those that are very important for the functioning of infrastructure.
Right, and over the weekend, we also saw the largest prisoner of war exchange between Ukraine and Russia, brokered back in Turkey. And of course, some people were looking at it optimistically, hoping that it's a genuine step towards peace. But of course, the kind of overnight shelling these past few days kind of shattered that illusion. But do you think at least that step is it is a genuine step towards peace, or do you think that it's just some sort of strategic maneuver, or Putin had no choice but to agree to some of Trump's demands?
In my opinion, the exchange was just a reverence towards the American president, because Russia allows no steps ahead or developments in the peace talks. Moreover, it would be very easy to present this as the victory of the Russian diplomacy, given that in recent weeks, Russia didn't gain any visible victories on the battlefield. As for negotiations in Istanbul, I guess it was very clear right then in the days of negotiation that this is not a serious talk, starting from the backstage information that Russian delegation was very clear that it wants to proceed with their maximalist demands. Thus, I do not see that these talks in Istanbul was a very clear step towards anything really workable. Moreover, we have seen that Russian Federation declined invitation to Vatican to continue these talks, saying that why would we use the platform of Catholic Church for negotiating peace between two Orthodox nations. This is very ironic, given that Russian government has violated commandments, 10 commandments, and one of the most important ones, not to kill.
Right, that's very paradoxical there. Now, with Russians clearly don't want peace, but the U.S. is still urging some sort of diplomacy. Where do you see things go from here? Do you think, well, over the weekend after these attacks, perhaps the Washington will be more aggressive in pursuing some sort of negotiation, or do you think that they'll start taking a more hands-off approach in the future?
We are expecting to receive the memorandum from the Russian Federation that they promised to provide with the demands of the peace deal. I do not think that it will be very, very different from what we have heard before. Thus, this means that this war will continue at least to the end of this summer, maybe to the end of the year. And given that already now more than 80 senators in Washington are ready to approve the bill to insert sanctions onto countries that help Russia and onto Russia itself, and to continue support of Ukraine, because as far as I understand, Washington understands that it will not be able to sustain another Afghanistan when it comes to their image as the global power. So in my opinion, there is hope that Ukraine will again enjoy more substantial support of its partners.
And from a diplomatic perspective, do you think that this would at least provide Ukraine some sort of leverage if there's any sort of negotiation in the future?
I believe Ukraine did everything on the diplomatic front to demonstrate that it is open for negotiations, that it is ready for some concessions, however, not those concessions that would lead to elimination of Ukraine as a state and of Ukrainian nation. And this is only Russia that stands on the way to a more or less workable peace, or more or less sustainable peace. So in my opinion, Ukraine played very nicely in terms of trying to negotiate with Russia. And I guess this was not, this was very important to demonstrate the world who still accuses Ukraine. Sometimes some of our partners used to accuse Ukraine of not being open to a peaceful resolution.
Right, and perhaps drones not only attack the infrastructure, but also shatter all that illusion along with it as well. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.